the good.
Just implement the Constitution of Kenya as it is, or at least the spirit of it, and then you will actually uplift Kenyans. You don't need building bridges. The enforcer of the law against thieves of public money, the enforcer of the penal code, the criminal procedure law, is the government. They are not doing it.
The bad.
President Ekuru is probably the greatest joker, political joker we've had in this country. So why is a tiny minority in this country remaining up there with 85% of our resources that should be developing the 47 million, 50 million Kenyans down there? I think BBI is complete rubbish and nonsense Kenyans should ignore. Government is the number one thief of our public money.
And the plain hard truth.
Uhuru unconstitutionally created chief administrative secretaries, CASs. William Ruto and Uhuru, you know, are not seeing eye to eye. All 47 counties of Kenya, all departments of government and ministries, they are all thieves in equal measure, including the office of the president.
This is the Jacque Maribe Show.
Welcome to the program. Now, we are hosting on this edition of the Jacque Maribe Show a man who you know as the face of the Thirdway Alliance and Punguza Mizigo, Daktari Ekuru Aukot.
Thanks, Jacque.
Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much.
Thanks
for having me on the show.
Now, former party leader of the Thirdway Alliance. Chama iko ama chama bado?
There is no title called former. I'm still the party leader of Thirdway Alliance Kenya, and maybe you need to read the judgments of the Political Parties Dispute Tribunal that actually ordered that the attempted removal of me from the party leadership was irregular, was unprocedural, and they were saying that should you want to remove anybody from the party, must follow processes. So I'm still the party leader. Plus, you can't take away my baby. This is what I created, what I ran with. And of course, you know, huu ni msimu wa watu kununuliwa na transfers, like in the context of football. The people who are trying to disrupt my party are actually ODM malls, and we have established that. We have a lot of evidence. And this is just because of Punguza Mizigo Kenya, which is a great idea, pro-people idea, compared to the fakeless, lackluster idea called BBI, which is also unconstitutional, as you know. You may also know that the reason they are fighting Ekuru Aukot because of Punguza Mizigo is because we actually won the High Court judgment that nullified BBI and declared it unconstitutional. We hope that we will still kill it at the Court of Appeal. So yeah, you're looking at the honor of Thirdway Alliance Kenya. I'm not going anywhere.
It's going anywhere.
No.
Despite the National Executive Committee and the allegations that they made, financial impropriety.
Maribe, I don't think we should really dwell on that because they are court judgments. And of course, I will also tell you one thing. The public accounts of Thirdway Alliance Kenya are actually public. They are with the registrar of political parties. If Ekuru Aukot misappropriated any money, it should be reflected in the accounts, the audited accounts of Thirdway Alliance Kenya. And we just requested for them. We've been given copies. There is no such misappropriation. And actually, we are filing a criminal complaint because they falsified those accounts. You know, and you have to demonstrate where is the money coming from. I'm not a signatory to accounts of Thirdway. I'm not even the treasurer. I'm not the fundraiser, you know. And so to make such allegation, we all know it is political. It's the idea that reduce Ekuru Aukot's vision, especially under Punguza Mizigo, muddy his name, and they won't succeed. I mean, I'm not the first one to be targeted. It started with Wetangula. Now you hear Maribe is also in trouble. The other day it was William Ruto and his UDA. And by the way, the people who are trying to do this, and let me tell you, Jacque, and this is something that you guys also need to highlight to Kenyans. The so-called bigwig political parties may be big or quantitative because they have been around for the longest time. But they're also so small in ideas. Political parties such as Thirdway Alliance Kenya may be new entrants in the political arena of this country, but we're very big in ideas, which is why we successfully promoted Punguza Mizigo and caused a national conversation that was very meaningful to this country in terms of how do you actually uplift the common mwananchi. And because they cannot propagate any ideas, So they will try to target everyone or who is bringing a very successful idea to the country. So I will treat this as politics and let them bring it on. I mean, we are here to stay. We are not going to be cowed.
Bring it on. All right, let's talk about Punguza Mizigo, which has been your baby and successfully at that, as you say. And it's an idea that you're still continuing to fight for, and it is ongoing. But you have very vocally also spoken against the BBI. Why is that? Punguza Mizigo versus the building bridge.
I will not talk much about BBI because, as you know, there's already an ongoing court process. There is a gag order on everyone, including IEBC and the political class, until the judgment of 20th August is read by the Court of Appeal. But I can give you facts about why I think BBI is complete rubbish and nonsense Kenyans should ignore. Number one, there are, as you very well know, that I was involved in the constitution-making process in this country as a CEO of the Committee of Experts. And as we negotiated that constitution, which was very developmental, we put in mechanisms on how you can change the constitution. That's Article 255, 256 on parliamentary initiative, and 257 on popular initiative. So if you want to change the constitution of Kenya, you have to choose either 256 parliamentary initiative or 257. Now, BBI did not follow either of those, and that's a fact. They started by what they called a handshake. And they started by lying to Kenyans that Kenya was at war, people were fighting. I don't know about you. I'm sure you are in the country 2017, and so are many Kenyans who are listening to this show. I don't know which tribe was fighting which tribe. I think the fight was between a disagreement between Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta over the presidential ballot and vote. So that's what they concocted as a fight, and that because of that, let us therefore have this something called Building Bridges Initiative that will unite the country, and that it will establish what actually hails Kenya. That was a fundamental lie. And in my letter to Joseph Kenywa, I think it was either May 2018, we pointed out to Joseph Kenywa the process of amending. And by the way, from the onset, BBI was not about amending the constitution. It was about establish what hails the country. Let's unite the country. Let's build bridges. But in the process, they ended up breaking any existing bridges. Today, as we speak, as a matter of fact, this is not Ekuru, this country is more divided because of BBI than united. It has not even united the political class in this country, especially the so-called top political class. William Ruto and Uhuru, you know, are not seeing eye to eye. The so-called former Prime Minister of Kenya is just using it to try and, kill any political party. That's part of the problem that challenges we are facing at Thirdway Alliance Kenya. Sponsoring malls is ODM malls into my party, who concoct all those manner of lies that you guys are forgetting. So I pointed out to Joseph Kenywa that what ails this country has since been established in numerous Commission of Inquiry reports that are today gathering dust. And I listed at least 9 of them. If it is issues to do with truth, justice, and reconciliation, we have a report, the Bedwell Kiplagat report. We challenged him, implement this report, the TJRC. If it is matters post-election violence, there was the Philip Waki, the CPEV report of 2008. If it is matters election, there was a Johan Kriegler report. Land clashes, land irregular allocation of land, there is the Ndungu Commission report. There is the Akihome report. There is the Aukot report. And we listed all that, including the Constitution of Kenya. And we told them, just implement the Constitution of Kenya as it is, or at least the spirit of it, and then you will actually uplift Kenyans. You don't need building bridges. Well, somewhere along the line, they started wondering whether they should go to the people or not, and they didn't follow any constitutional process. Now, if you compare it to the Punguza Mizigo Kenya, first of all, Punguza Mizigo Kenya conceptually is about how do you reduce the burden of governance on the Kenyan people, but at the same time uplift them. Okay? Nothing comparable to BBI. And in fact, I'm happy Kenyans call BBI nonsense, which is exactly what it is. Now, Punguza Mizigo Kenya decided to invoke Article 257 of the Constitution of Kenya, what is called popular initiative. And the Constitution is very clear that if you want to change the Constitution, you need to go to the people with general propositions or with a bill, and you can start with either. Like we started with a general proposition. We told Kenyans, Do we need this many representatives? And we rationalized it, that 416 people are actually taking home 37.5 billion Kenya shillings annually. We even compared that representation with, for example, the residency of Nairobi, or of each county of Kenya. And we say, let's pick Nairobi as an example. And you can pick any other county and compare. At least in each and every county of Kenya, there is probably at least 1 million Kenyans. 1 million Kenyans. Now, Nairobi alone has about 5 million residents who need clean water, need roads, need electricity, need security, they need good schools, they need hospitals. But this government, in this government's wisdom or lack of it, they decide, let's allocate Nairobi residents, 5 million people, 5 million. I want you, Jackie, let's do this maths together, because we have to be truthful to Kenyans. 5 million people, we allocate them, is it 12 billion? About 12 billion, give and take, 12 billion. And you expected the 12 billion to fund public institutions, hospitals, schools, roads, garbage collection, security, create job opportunities for the youth and everybody. Okay? Now let's put that aside. Let's compare it with 416 individuals, elected and nominated. They take home 37.5 billion annually. Over and above giving them a salary, every time they come to do the work for which you've given them a salary, they want a sitting allowance. They want a car grant. They want a mortgage, a medical cover of at least 10 million inpatient. When they travel out of the country, they want to fly business class on your taxes, over and above their salary. Okay? So we told Kenyans, what really is the value of this representation? And I want Kenyans to listen carefully, because when people try to compare BBI and Punguza Mizigo, it's laughable. It's laughable, and I don't know whether it means pia sisi tuna ujinga tu fulani kama wa Kenya. You know? I think there's a level of mediocrity we entertain that has become part and parcel of our life that we do not even want to rationalize. And this has really made me many times, Jackie, wonder, are we really educated? I mean, are we educated? People say that Kenyans is one of the educated countries in sub-Saharan Africa, but we are not able to put reason to our problems. And this is why we brought a comparison. We said over-representation in Kenya really needs to be addressed. Because if you have to release more money to go to the counties, to the wards, then you need to address this burden of over-representation. We even did a comparison, by the way, which people don't even analyze. We said, let's look at a country like, say, compare ourselves to some of the best countries in the world that have done progressively fairly well. America, 350 million people. They only have got 530 representatives. It doesn't matter the size of the state. You have got 2 senators per every state, 100 of them, you know? And the economy, of course, is doing very well. They care about basic things. China, where we borrow a lot of money, this debt, now we have about 7 trillion. We borrow largely from China. There are 1.4 billion people. They only have 1,200 representatives. Okay, meaning one person in China represents about 1.6 million people. One person in the US represents about 625,000. India, where we all run to, you have cancer, you have got some small operation, you go to India for operation and all that, 1.3 billion people, they only have 800 representatives for both houses of Congress and Senate. Now, come back home, 50 million Kenyans, we are struggling with basics. I'm sure, I don't know whether you heard of a story of a girl who got 401 points the other day and could not just report to school. You know, we have got now pandemic here. We are fighting pandemic. We have not even vaccinated Kenyans. We have not tested. Our hospitals lack even basic things like aspirin. You know, 50 million of us, but we have got 416 elected representatives. Does it make sense? And that's when we say, this is Mizigo. We have to punguza for Kenyans. We would rather have very few qualitative representatives, but channel more money where? To the counties, to the wards. And that's why we proposed the idea of the ward development fund. So that at the ward level, you can actually use the ward as a unit of accelerating development. So that in each and every ward of this country, it doesn't matter where you come from. You could be from Todonyang, Turkana North, or Lunga, or Peketoni, or wherever it is. From that small ward, you can actually begin to tick the box on good roads, hospitals, security, education, and that way, Jacque, according to Punguza Mizigo, we were going to equalize this country within a very short time. We also said to reduce the burden on Kenyans, we have to punish thieves of public money. Because for us, the word corruption, I don't know in your mother tongue, if you can actually relate to the word corruption. At least in my mother tongue, Turkana, there is no such word. But if I give you money after you promise that you're going to build a hospital for people or a school, and you cannot account for that money, Jacque, you are nothing less but a thief. Simple and straightforward. You are a thief. So Punguza Mizigo was saying, corruption is actually theft of public money. And we are not even making any figures. The President Kenyatta himself actually came out to the open and threw out hands in the air and said, okay, I don't know what to do with this corruption. Yeah, he said that. And secondly, he even went ahead and said, actually, people are stealing 2 billion every year. Every day.
Every day, actually. 2
billion every day. Come on. President Uhuru is probably the greatest joker, political joker we've had in this country. You are the President of the Republic of Kenya. You have got all the intelligence with you. You have got all the security apparatus. You have the police. You control DPP, DCI, and you're telling us 2 billion is lost every day, and you throw your hands in there and say you don't know? How did you know 2 billion was being stolen every day? If you know 2 billion is being stolen every day, then you should also tell us who is stealing that money and what are you doing about it. Okay? And part of the reason I allowed the BBI, judgment of the 5-bench judges is because they deconstructed it and said, okay, people have to take personal responsibility for their actions. And that's why they call President Uhuru Kenyatta, Mr. Kenyatta can actually be sued in his own personal capacity. Because you know why? He went to court and said that I initiated BBI as a private citizen. Okay? Judge said, fair enough. Nobody's denying the fact that you are a private citizen. But then how did you invoke public coffers as a private citizen to spend about 14 billion on BBI? Who approved that? Ekuru Aukot, who is also a private citizen, promoted Punguza Mizigo from 2018 up to 2019, and I went around all the 29 county assemblies of Kenya. Did I get a single penny from Treasury? No. But we all know BBI spent public funds that was not approved, was not in the budget, has not been audited to this very date. They are pushing a referendum that is actually dividing this country. So Punguza Mizigo and BBI cannot really be compared. This is like oil and water. You can't compare the two. Again, we said in Punguza Mizigo, why is the cost of our election so expensive? I don't know whether you followed, Jacque, the 2017 election very closely. And we brought to the attention of Kenyans when we were campaigning that this election in Kenya shouldn't cost us billions. We sent to France, when we were buying the BVR kits, about 4 billion, if I'm not wrong. But no, about 4 billion, to France. That is not using the BVR kits in its own election. That's not printing special ballots in their own election. In fact, they say, oh, okay, Eric, Jacque, Ekuru, you want to run for what position? They just print your name in an A4 paper. People don't even take a public holiday. As they go to work, they vote for you, mambo kwisha. No. Then in Kenya here, we are saying, oh, we need a special ballot. We need proper coloration on our ballot papers. And what do? Tenders. Then people start fighting around it, Then we go to Al-Gurai. Now, we are jokers. Because how can we go and print millions of ballots of papers from a desert country that does not even have a forest? Why not print in Kenya? We can talk of Band Forest, even Ngong Forest here, Mount Kenya, wherever. We have so many forests in this country and so many trees. Simple logic. But we pump about 2.5 billion to a desert country, and then they even give us substandard ballots, whose coloration was not even proper. So in Punguza Mizigo, we are saying, let's reduce the cost of election. If you are a Kenyan with an adult Kenyan of 18 years old with a national identity card, you should automatically be deemed as a registered voter. All you need to do is just choose where you want to vote from. We even said, let's go electronic voting. Why is it okay today? Everybody's safe. You can pay all your bills now electronically. M-Pesa. 25 million, there are 25 million users of M-Pesa. And those are all adults. Because if you are not 18 and above, you can't use M-Pesa. So 25 million adult Kenyans are transacting billions of Kenya shillings on M-Pesa. What's so special about just going down to my phone and saying, okay, constituency, Kilimani constituency, there is Jacque Maribe, there is Eric, there is, so and so. Drop down button, vote electronically, real time. We also compared why election should be cheaper. India, which I gave an example, of about 1.3 billion people, they probably have 1 billion voters. And within 4 to 9 hours maximum, they return the election. And you will never hear anybody take to the streets and say it's Jiho, it's Machosi Monday, tear gas here and there. Kimebiwa, whatever. Or I'm 10 million strong, and therefore because of that, I don't accept these results. You don't hear that. They move on to things that actually matter to them. Devolution, we interpreted very simply as Thirdway, and we said, the language in the Constitution says at least 15%. And we questioned, why is it that 85% remains to this so-called national level? And we said, okay, let's deconstruct Kenya. Kenya is still a unitary state, but with 47 devolved units, with 1,450 wards. From Article 6 of the Constitution of Kenya, sub-Article 3, it says, national organs must devolve their services and resources to each and every part of the Republic of Kenya. Our interpretation was very simple. It does not make sense to send only 15% to the 47 wards, to the 1,450 wards. Then 85% remains at this single unit called the national. Okay? So if you deconstruct the national, what is the national? The national is the people of Kenya in the 47 counties. True or false? The national is the 1,450 wards in Kenya. The national is the 47 counties of Kenya. So why is a tiny minority in this country remaining up there with 85% of our resources that should be developing the 47 million, 50 million Kenyans down there? That was the idea of reducing the burden, because Kenyans are carrying this burden, which is national, on their shoulder. But national is what? National is Kenya, the geographical location of Kenya, as it is. And so that's why we said at Thirdway Alliance Kenya, if we were in charge of this country, nothing will stop me as President Ekuru Aukot from even sending 50% to the people of Kenya, wherever they are. By dint of the Constitution, not me. The Constitution says that in Article 6, sub-Article 3, and also Chapter 11 on devolution. Okay? And therefore, we also said, let's also reduce the size of government. Why do we need almost 40 members in the cabinet? Because you have got the 22 cabinet secretaries. Some I think they're even two in some departments. Then you add, I think, two or three permanent secretaries in the same departments. Then now Uhuru unconstitutionally created chief administrative secretaries, CASs. And this is all, they come with an entire budget that you, Maribe, and myself, and all others must shoulder. That's why we said we will reduce the size of government to a maximum of 15 ministries. 15 ministries. But we will also rechannel money to the 1450 wards. And that's why we are creating the Ward Development Fund. In corruption, we said if we punish thieves of public money, we try those thieves on a timely version. We use the Auditor General report. As soon as it is done, we gave timeline for DPP to begin trials within a certain time frame. We are going to save 3.6 trillion Kenya shillings from corruption alone. Because even right now, as facts stand, and you just need to read the Auditor General report, we are losing to corruption about 700 billion annually. 700 billion. This is confirmed. All 47 counties of Kenya, all departments of government and ministries, they are all thieves in equal measure, including the office of the president, who cannot account for expenditure. These foreign trips, we said, why do we need these foreign trips? That takes almost an Airbus of people who have no value. What do we get back from these foreign trips? What is the value addition to the people of Kenya when the president makes a foreign trip? We also talked about national debt.
Before Dr. let me cut you short there. On questions of corruption, state and public officers who have been found or accused of grand corruption, their culpability or otherwise seems to really drag. What then, should be done? Because we have been treated as the public to a lot of noise and flair about, oh, this person has been nabbed, this person has been nabbed. But have we ever seen anyone actually take responsibility or jailed even?
No. You know why? Because government is the number one thief of our public money. And it's not me saying it, it's the Auditor General report. Look at all departments of government, they cannot account for money. So the same government we expect to enforce the laws, because that's the nature of constitutional democracy. You have the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. The executive, the legislature legislates, makes the laws. The executive enforces the law. The judiciary interprets the law. So the enforcer of the law, against thieves of public money, the enforcer of the penal code, the criminal procedure law, is the government. They are not doing it. They are the ones actually who are thieves number one. So what we propose at Punguza Mizigo is, okay, let's address this issue systematically. We start from the audit. Okay? From the audit, we propose to create a department called Forensic Department within the Auditor General's office. Forensic Department, the way it works, is that it's actually the gathering of evidence for a criminal trial. So I'll come to you and ask you, and by the way, auditor spends about 6 months auditing. Basically, wanakubembeleza, wanakuambia wewe, ulisema mazee, utatengeza sujui hii barabara. Easy receipts ziko wapi? Where are the BQs? Who did this, time frame, nini, all those things. They basically persuade you. By the time the auditor writes that report, he has completed his auditing and he has made findings. So what we said, these findings now should be findings of a criminal nature. And that's why we created in Punguza Mizigo a forensic department within the Auditor General report. So that by the time the report is complete with those findings, within 5 days, the DPP should then grab that report and look at those findings again and say Department X, County X, Governor so and so, and ask them to actually open up charges immediately. And we did a lot of research, Jackie. We spoke to accountants, we spoke to auditors, we spoke to financial analysts, and we asked them, okay, with a forensic audit report and with a preferred charge, how long will it take you to actually, cause a conviction? As a lawyer, all I need to do ask the auditor is just a few questions. Can you confirm you did read this report? What did you audit? What did you investigate? I did A, B, C, D. And it will not take you even a day to actually convict that thief of public money. So the reason people are not going to jail, the reason we are not recovering money is because the political goodwill is not there. Both from implementing the constitution, both from holding people accountable in government, and that's why you can see in Kenya, we are actually a very rich country because we are no longer talking about theft of millions. We're talking about theft of billions. Billions of Kenya shillings. Which means really, if we stopped that theft of public money, and if we had the political goodwill, starting from the office of the president and all the other departments, then we don't even need to borrow a penny from China or from anywhere. We can actually use that money, build our own institution, industrialize, ensure that each and every county of this country is actually producing something. Like today, coming from my native county of Turkana, if we had the goodwill to actually industrialize that oil production, even do a local refinery in Turkana, we will be creating millions of jobs. We will be encouraging people from, say, central Kenya, whether it's of a population or Kisii and others, please immigrate to Kenya. There you can find good schools, there are job opportunities. Even if you want to swim in the longest lake in the world, there's Lake Turkana, you can catch fish there because, we can encourage our brothers who like fishing to go and fish in Lake Turkana, because as we joke in Turkana, as nomads, fish die out of old age in Lake Turkana. So we need people to eat that fish. So but we have to create an enabling environment in each and every county in Kenya for people to be able to immigrate. Just the same way, you've traveled the world. In Europe, I can decide to relocate anywhere, in whatever rural location. I will not miss postal services. I will not miss, for example, a school, a hospital, a good road, even a restaurant, even a high street in my small city. I can relocate anywhere. Why is it impossible? Can you today relocate to Mandera or Wajir or Turkana? You will start asking, okay, I've been enjoying certain things in Nairobi. And if you look at all that cumulatively, that is the concept of Punguza Mizigo Kenya. So really, you cannot compare Punguza Mizigo with this nonsense called BBI. And I really pray that the judges return in the same verdict as the High Court. And we can move on now to talking about 2022 election and interrogate policies of people who can actually change this country, not regurgitating and recycling the same garbage.
And I want to get to that, Daktari. You have had your sights on the presidency and still want to lead this country.
Yes.
But there are questions over respect to the office of the president, the holder and the office. Have we gotten to a point in this country that, we're just lackluster, we don't care anymore? I know you have a very strong presence online, and you've seen even how the public will react and directly even hurl insults, not only to the office, but the office bearer. Have we gotten to a point where we have no regard for such a seat?
You know why, Jackie? First of all, for the longest time in this country, we've surrendered political leadership in Kenya to a tiny minority of individuals who have developed a sense of entitlement, that if it is not them, then nobody else can lead this country. We have also commercialized politics in Kenya, including the office of the presidency, that unless you come with big money and bribe people, then you are not fit enough to be president. Kenyans don't interrogate ideas. Kenyans don't interrogate individuals. If I can give you my own example, when I started to run for the presidency of Kenya, and I will do it again in 2022, a lot of folks actually laughed at me, including my peers. They were just saying, Ekuru Maze, you're a joker. Yeah? Sasa wewe mturukana utapata wapi pesa ya run for the presidency? How many numbers do you have? They didn't bother to look at, Thirdway, by the way, had the best manifesto compared to all of them, and there was an independent group of analysts who actually analyzed all the manifestos, and it's actually Thirdway at the best, both in terms of how do we industrialize, ending corruption, respecting the office of the presidency, the rule of law, how to bring women and youth into government, and we had all that properly packaged. How we were even going to restructure our national debt and all those things. And it was a pro-people. It's about changing this country. But a lot of people did not interrogate. They didn't read my manifesto until much later. But what do we do? So I'll give you a few examples why, if people really had interrogated Ekuru Aukot's presidential bid, they'd probably be very happy right now. When we went into the election, of course, I lost, and so did others as well. As a true Democrat, I considered defeat. One thing I never accepted, and it's out there, I never accepted the way the results were transmitted. And I said, even though I congratulate President Uhuru, but we will go try and find out how did my vote, for example, travel from Turkana girl, Kapedo girls where I voted, to the National Tallying Center. And again, we applied our skill and knowledge as educated individuals. And I remember challenging my chairman, Miruru Waweru, and I told Miruru, you are an auditor and an accountant. This is not rocket science. Can you just trace for me my ballot, how I voted in Kapedo, and also sample others? So we decided to sample about 27 constituencies. And we are the only political party, Jackie, that came up with an audit report on how the results were transmitted. I sat down with Raila Odinga, and I told Raila, you are claiming 10 million strong. Can we prove it in a court of law? Because if you are really 10 million strong, then how do you certify that in actual numbers. And of course I told him, I don't think you can beat this guy, Uhuru, even on ethnic numbers alone. That's a fact. You know, you can't beat him because that's the politics of Kenya. That's why you find anybody who can mobilize numbers ethnically or regionally ends up there. Again, they don't really bring respect to the office of the presidency. So we went to court with our audit report, okay? And we filed that audit report. And Jacque, I'll invite you and invite viewers, all read the judgment of the Supreme Court then. Yeah? Nobody faulted the audit report of Thirdway Alliance Kenya on the transmission of results. And if you remember the words of Justice Maraga, and we don't like to shout about this, he said because of irregularities and illegalities, they are nullifying this election. So the big mouths, politically, who've been there for a long time and cannot even propagate any idea, claimed that they are the ones who have caused the nullification of the election. Then eventually they ended up refusing to participate in the second election. And I remember challenging them, telling them, no, if you use the constitution and the law to nullify an election, then you must also use the same constitution and law to go into the repeat election, because there is no basis upon which you can conduct an election outside the law. There is the Constitution of Kenya, and the judges cited Article 140 sub Article 3. Fresh election means fresh. There is the Elections Act, there is the IEBC Act. So you have to follow the law. You cannot say you're going into an election without... Why? The reason they did not want to go to an election, because they wanted the same Nusumkate Ujinga that actually costed Kenyans, lives of thousands and thousands of Kenyans. They wanted to take Kenya back to 2003, 2008, post-election violence. We said, no, I lost this election, but I rushed to court. If you remember Justice John Mativo's judgment that said all 8 presidential candidates must participate. But look, the presidency in Kenya has been a work of jokers for the longest time, work of political manipulators for the longest time. One of them wins an election, is declared president-elect, is sworn in as per law. The other goes to Uhuru Park, swears himself, calls himself people's president. They cause people to fight. You remember Machozi Sunday? And then what do? After that, they sneak into some room somewhere and handshake and say, BBI. That's why you can see there is no respect for the presidency in this country, because the people seeking this office are not serious. It's about themselves. It's not about the country. It's not about service to the people of Kenya. That's why they can cause societies to conflict, to fight themselves, region to hate each other, the Kikuyus to hate each other. They will say, oh, udamaki ni wito, udamaki ni shao. Yeah? After a while, Dhamaki na udamaki wako pamoja. You are told Dhuraku, kumira, you are left there with all your problems. And you know, if we have to really change this country, Jacque, we have to be brutally honest with Kenyans and brutally honest with the political system. That's why you can see the presidents in this country will never hand respect. Even today, as we speak, there are people now lying to Kenyans that they have come up with something called bottom-up approach. When they have been part of the failures of this regime from 2013, they have been part of the lies in this country since 2015. They lied to our children. We'll give you 1 laptop per child. They lied to our youth that we'll create 3 million jobs per year. They lied again to our youth and said that we'll build for you stadium, you know, in 6 months, in 9 months. In fact, we'll complete this and that. You know, they borrowed heavily to put us into the big financial trouble we are in Kenya today. The 7 trillion Kenya shilling, meaning hata wewe saizi unadaiwa pesa, Jacque. Kama una mtoto anadaiwa pesa, na ukipata mimba hiyo pia ni deni. Because that's a debt we are going to carry. Okay? So, then we are being told, these are the people from the same failed regime that we are to beat in 2022. I mean, honestly, are we serious as a country? I think we need to interrogate more. And that's why, for me, our policy going forward and for 2022 is about how do we fix the real problem in Kenya. The real problem in Kenya is not the bottom. In fact, the bottom has always built the top. And that's why, for me, going forward, I want to tell Kenyans, we must fix the top. The moment we fix the top, the leadership at the top, then the bottom will conform. And I say this for many reasons, Jacque. If you look at progressive societies and countries in the world, including some that we've been compared with in the past, even pick the tiger economies, a very tired example, but we must remind Kenyans, repeatedly that how did South Korea beat us? How did Singapore? How did Malaysia? How did Thailand? When it is said that in the 1960s we are at par or even better than these economies. They're called tiger economies. But today, look around. Samsung TVs, Samsung phones, Nini from South Korea. So what happened? Those countries progressed because the top was strategic. The top created a stewardship that will ensure their people are actually chaperoned to a level of success. So much so that today, even in Singapore, everybody is actually a millionaire. Even a beggar. If you choose to be a beggar, you're just a millionaire beggar. Because, look at the per capita, the GDP of that country is about 33,000 US dollars. So if they decided, let's share our wealth, kila mtu anatoka na 3 million Kenya shillings. Sasa hapa Kenya, what kind of leadership can you actually say, especially at the top, at government level, that has actually steered this country to a state of prosperity? It's always about themselves. And that's why you can see the formations. The political formations today in Kenya is about, let's change the constitution through BBI to accommodate the so-called big tribes. Let's expand the executive, even if we expanded the executive and put everybody there. In fact, that's a very divisive approach. Because when will the Turkanas or the Ogiek, the Sengwer, or the Saboti, or, the small tribe, the Boni, the Malakote, Uko, in Boni Forest and the rest, when will they ever make it to government? So we need a presidency in this country that will actually see itself as a value that will cascade downwards, that will make decisions about development equitably in this country. We don't want to see a presidency that says, because now I'm cooperating with the government of the day, so development should be channeled where? To my region only. And just in the interest of being, again, open and transparent, you've seen the Luhya community complaining that, they have supported Raila for a long time, but we see development going to Luo Nyanza. That should worry Kenyans. If these are the people who want to be your president in 2022, if they are not presidents now, but they are rechanneling development and all resources to their backyards, what will they do if they became president? Control the country. The same thing with people who have been in government but have really been part of the lies, but now they are telling us they are better off. So going forward for me, as a party, as an individual, and as an appeal to Kenyans, we must fix the top.
It's exactly a year now to the 2022 elections, August 8th, 2022. Is it time that the national conversation changed, as opposed to what some may feel is regurgitating the same old crop of leaders that we have seen? What do you think, Daktari, collectively, let's say, we have seen their faces, have they done that has improved the country or otherwise?
So I think let's invoke the wisdom of a man called Albert Einstein when he said that, what is insanity? Insanity is doing the same thing all the time and expecting different results. I think it's safe to say in Kenya, unless we start this conversation as you ask, then we are insane. We are mad. Mathare is missing patience. And Mathare is probably missing the 47 million Kenyans. And maybe we should just convert Kenya into a Mathare. And we start psychoanalyzing us. Tulete waganga kama ni kusiji Pemba, Zanzibar kule, waanze kututibu. Because we are repeating the same mistake. And this is the sad reality. Today, the people who complain the most about how Jubilee government has failed them, do you know they're from where? Which region? Central Kenya. The people who complain that, we have been betrayed by this BBI, the Luo people. And that's a fact. The rest of us are just spectators. So I agree with you. We must now change this conversation. We must talk about the rise of a new generation of leaders, new thinkers, new people who can actually inject ideas into changing Kenya. And that's why for me, I get very disappointed when young people are being used to try and disrupt a very progressive party like Thirdway Alliance Kenya because of 10,000 Kenya shillings. Political handouts have never built anyone. And these same crop of politicians who are now ganging up, they are called Okaha, is it Okaha or Oka? One Kenya Alliance. That's the way people are calling it. They're even calling themselves, now some of them are calling themselves, giving themselves Kikuyu names. I think one of them is calling himself Masharia. Another one, I think, is calling himself Njoroge Ondongo, so that they can endear to the people of Central Kenya or Mount Kenya region. The people of Mount Kenya don't need you to lie to them about your name. They need you to talk about real policies. And I think the challenge of this crop of leaders, they are actually the problem in Kenya. Because they have ensured the majority of you, the new ordinary majority, are in that static state. You are in that state of desperation, despair, so that they can come to you and say in their choppers or whatever that, handouts, patiana hapa, patiana pale, we will nominate you. We don't need that. We need people who can actually build a functioning economy, who can bring unity in this country, who can increase the infrastructure in all the 47 counties of Kenya, who can exploit natural resources that are available in all of 47 countries of Kenya, who can stop the theft of Kenya's natural resources. If I just give you 2 examples, our tea leaves Kenya in sacks. Atinaenda England, comes back as English tea. I've lived and studied in England. That weather alone cannot even allow one tea tree to grow in the UK. So why are we not finishing our own product here so that Kenya can be known as that country that produces the finest tea? You go to Kwale, we have actually created a special bath for Thiomine to actually be exported in Kenya, out of Kenya in raw material. When will we ever say that Kwale is actually the capital of Thiomine mining and we refine it here? And then, of course, we inject that into our economy. So we are killing all our industries because these top guys there, really, the guys who are now, recycling themselves, calling themselves, they're even killing existing coalitions to lie to Kenya. NASA is dead. All the orphaned children the other day were submitting their resolution to the Office of the Register of Political Parties. Jubilee is dead, as you know, it's no longer there. So the only existing political parties are actually Thirdway Alliance Kenya and others, these other so-called small political parties. So there's really nothing new, and I've said it. There's nothing new that can come out of these so-called big boys in Kenyan politics. In fact, just analyze their track record, and this is again the challenge I'll throw to Kenyans. Just look at them when they were in government. For example, one of the guys in Oka, One Kenya Alliance, was a finance minister in 1993 to 1997, a time when we had the worst economic problems in this country. So now, a miracle has happened. Maybe he was on his way to Damascus, and from Saul he became Paul. Now he's preaching to us the good gospel. Others have said in the past, they have been there as vice presidents, ministers, nothing tangible you can compare them with in terms of revolutionizing this country. In fact, I can even brag at the risk of sounding, arrogant, that in my short time in politics, I've actually caused a meaningful national conversation through Punguza Mizigo. I have caused an unification of an election. I have caused this country to go into a proper election in the repeat election, and the fact that they are fighting me in my party means, we have some serious thinking about how to change this country. So, really, I see nothing new from this crop of guys. It's just about how do we protect ourselves. Jackie, let me also challenge us Kenyans from 2 perspectives. We are a very pretentious lot, and it's about time we just call a spade a spade. We are very pretentious as a people. We pretend we are religious. Kabla tujakula, we pray. Before a political rally, we pray, and then we take the podium, we start abusing people. We go to church, we pray, and then we take the podium again there, we start abusing people. So we can't even live by 10 commandments as a so-called religious country. So how can we live with a document called 264 document? So we are very pretentious as a people. Tribalism, we use tribalism in all our affairs. That's why people will say, mtu wetu lazima akue state house. Hiyo ni ujinga fulani tuko nayo, because hata mtu wenu akiingia state house haimaanishi ati sijui rent yako itapungua. Me right now I don't see Kikuyus lining up in state house because Kamwana is the president. I mean, I wish I was seeing Kikuyus now benefiting because, President Uhuru is one of their own. Are Kikuyus better than all other Kenyans? They are still struggling. Corona is killing all of us in equal measure. So we are all struggling to take our kids to school, afford Medicare, to feed our children. So this nonsense of us Kenyans pretending that one of our own must be. Let's interrogate ideas and let's help Kenyans change critically. And I hope that this conversation can actually continue. But I think also you people in the media really needs to help the country change. It's also media who have actually built this false narrative that if it is not them, there is nobody else who can be president. We are all capable, because sometimes I wonder if we are able to undertake certain adult or natural function as adult, as sane people. What is so magical about being a president of the Republic of Kenya? After all, you're not like a miracle performer. You're working with all other departments of government, organs of government. You're working with professionals. You're putting together a team. So what Kenya needs is a visionary. We need a vision. And as a president, you want to pick a team of people who can help you actually implement your vision, see your vision through. This is how other countries succeed in the world. I mean, if you look at, for example, someone like Obama, and he came up with, even just with his policy of the Obamacare. I mean, he was targeting the people who cannot afford ordinarily. The Republicans have tried to fight it, but you see, at some point, they pause and say, wait a minute, why am I fighting this Obamacare when actually some of my constituents actually need it? That's the kind of vision, kind of ideas that we really need to propagate in this country. And that's why, for me, I will go into this 2022 election with the clarion call of Punguza Mizigo, Imarisha Kenya.
From where you sit, Dr. Aukot, in informing this national discourse, with whom does the buck stop? Is it the public and, so to speak, the electorate that, have always been treated to? We have these faces that we always have to look to. Is it individuals who are not stepping up to the challenge and saying, look, I have ideas, such as Dr. Aukot is presenting. I have this new, platform that I can use, and let me then be the change? Or is it those that, you're saying the same, so to speak, crop of leaders that have to come to you and say, look, if it is not me, then there's nobody else? With whom does the buck stop in order to inform this conversation?
The buck stops with many of us. First of all, the people who present themselves as leaders, they ought to be truly honest, that I've been given a chance to lead my country and I really want to deliver it to a certain state of prosperity and success. So there's that. The buck will also stop at the leadership itself. They should be responsible. The reason I say that is this, and I'll come to the second person who can hold accountable. One of the geniuses of Kenya's constitution is a chapter called Chapter 6 on leadership and integrity. And what Kenyans said when we were negotiating this constitution, they said, we have a problem with the leadership in this country. We want a certain type and character of leaders. Leaders, when they occupy office, we can respect them, they can respect us, they can actually deliver, they will all do all that. So when you are given that responsibility to lead your country, to lead a department, the buck must stop at you, because then you are actually, a servant leader. So yes, you have responsibility as per Chapter 6, but also as per the Constitution, Article 10 on national values and principles of governance. You really must then truly honor that gift that you've been gifted, you're being honored. Because you hear people say, oh, Honorable so-and-so, Mheshimiwa. Live to that title of Mheshimiwa. Eshimika. When people actually call you Mheshimiwa, Eshimika. Be the real Mheshimiwa. So that's the leadership. But let's go to the people. It is you, the people of Kenya, who told us we want a certain type and character of leadership. Now, do you interrogate anybody who presents themselves and say, I want to be your leader? Do you interrogate their character? Do you make the right choices? You follow money, you follow tribe, you follow other persuasion, you follow slogans, lies like a bottom-up approach, whatever. So the buck also stops with us, Kenya, because as they say, the leadership of a country is a reflection of the society from which we come from, So if we are fakeless, cantankerous, lackluster leaders, then it means we are also fakeless ourselves and cantankerous, because we are the ones who choose them. These leaders, Jacque, they don't come from planet Mars. These are guys we know. They are our friends, our fathers, our husbands, our uncles, our professional colleagues. So we also, pick them. But I also want to tell you there's another category of Kenyans that we really must call out. The so-called middle or working class. The guys who say that, I hate politics, politics is dirty, I can't wake up to vote. And I've had so many people say that. This is probably one of the most ignorant people we have in this country. They pretend they have an education, but they don't have. I think they were just passengers in these institutions of learning. The certificates they have may not even be worth the paper they're written on. If they cannot apply their education to change society, societies have been changed by intellectual going into leadership. And every time I hear my contemporaries, both in the profession and say that I hate politics, these guys, they complain about everything. The cost of living. Private schools are exploiting us. Sujui jobs, sujui nini. And I look at them, of course, and silently say, what an ignorant lot. This is what Bertolt Brecht called the political illiterates. They don't actually know from political decisions, come the price of unga, of bean, of flour, and all those things. Political decisions determine how comfortable you live in your life. Political decisions determine whether your hard sweat can actually be invested and is secure. You can live a comfortable life. So this is really mediocre and stupid of people who are in the know to say, I hate politics, I can never elect these guys. Now, people, many times I've heard people say, how did Nairobians elect someone like Sonko, for example? And how did the villagers in Makueni or in Kericho elect professors? Or in West Pokot? Yet, you can argue and say, Nairobi has the creme de la creme of Kenyan society. These are guys who have invested. I mean, if you look at, for example, people who are struggling today to pay mortgages. Did you know, we looked at mortgages in Kenya by 2017, and I think they had gone down by 2018. There are only 25,000 mortgages in Kenya. 25,000. And majority of that, people paying mortgages, actually people in the financial sector who are enjoying better rates, lower rates. So the rest of you who are working hard, you want to put a roof over your head, you don't know because of fiscal policies of government, you are not able to afford a roof over the head of your family. And then you are telling us, I hate politics, I don't like politics. This is what I think Plato described as one of the consequences of refusing to participate in politics is that you'll be governed, ruled by your inferiors. And so for me, I say the buck also stops with the so-called middle class informed lot in this country, who actually ought to actually influence the masses down there. We need to get our hands dirty and say, we want a better society. Because today, Jacque, they can pretend. A lot of us working in the cities and struggling, we actually support almost an entire, village back home. And when things are bad, like the way the effects of Corona were on many people lost jobs. About 7 million small businesses and enterprises closed shop. A lot of people were retrenched, salaries were reduced. You are actually affecting your support to the family, the extended family in the villages. Because we do. Why? Because policy decisions that are being made up there is actually as a trickle-down effect. Starts with you, actually. Actually, you are the one who is affected the most. Today, maybe you're not able to actually service your car on timely fashion. You're not able to pay your mortgage. You're not able to pay your medical cover, health insurance. You're not able to take your kids to the same school you want. So there's an effect on our lives from political decisions, from bad leaders getting into government. So we have to get involved. We have to get involved and be able to comfortably say, if the country is run properly, if everybody is equitably enjoying resource services, hata ng'ombe anaweza kuwa rais and nobody will care, I should be able to say, I'm tired, let me take a 2-week holiday. The country is being run properly, nobody cares. And I always like giving example of friends from Switzerland. Switzerland is a very interesting country. I'm sure you've heard it from about the financial services and all that. But they have a very interesting administration, governance. They only have 7 ministers. Okay? And each of those ministers every year becomes the president, just to represent the country. When you go down to the cantons, which is maybe equivalent of our wards or counties, you ask an ordinary Swiss person, who is your president today? And I always tease my friends and ask them this question. A lot of them will struggle. They won't tell you, I don't know, who is it? Who is the, because it rotates annually. So I ask them, how come you do not know who your president is? They say, because we don't care. What we care is what my canton, my village, does for me. Can I walk 5 minutes to a bus stop, to a train station? Is my garbage being collected? Is my waste being turned from waste to energy? You know? They say that's what concerns me. And most Swiss people just love to go to their mountains, climb the mountain, get some fresh air. You know, they don't even talk politics. They talk about development, going for holidays and all that kind of thing. But here in Kenya, you find a lot that is working, toiling, and all they are lamenting is, how politics is so bad. Maybe that time they are swallowing drinks, swallowing down their frustration, while at the same time complaining. But they are doing nothing about it. That's why for me I say the buck really must stop with a number of people. The leadership, the electorate, but also the people in the know like ourselves, who should really get down and influence our people. The same way we support them from our hard-earned sweat, we should also tell them, by the way, this time around, we need to interrogate the policies of so and so. I think that is the person we should elect as our president, because I think his vision, his ideas, his policies will actually be beneficial to all of us.
Absolutely. I want us to wind up, Dr. with that question tying up to what you're just saying of the economy and the debt burden that we're facing as a country. The state of the economy and moving forward. I mean, we have a pandemic that we're going through, and as you rightfully mentioned, a lot of people are struggling even day to day, you know, with their living conditions, health-wise, putting their kids through school. The state of the economy moving forward, vis-a-vis the debt burden, we keep borrowing, we will not hide it. How then do we move forward and try to have a level balance, especially because now you're a presidential hopeful? How do Kenyans have a glimmer of hope?
So there are a number of things that we can do, and I'm sure you can read this from our proposals, which is called Punguza Mizigo, Imarisha Kenya. You see, first of all, we need to really renegotiate our national debt. I'm aware almost every country in the world has a debt, but they have to restructure that debt, maybe negotiate for a longer repayment period, okay? And then that debt then must be invested wisely. I'll give you an example. You see this Nairobi Express Highway. The Kibaki administration approved it at 23 billion that time. This failed administration of Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto upped it to 64 billion thereabout. They had like a whole 41 billion on top. If you look at the way this highway is being constructed, it actually has zero improvement on our economy. Because first of all, it's not labor-intensive investment. Because when you do labor-intensive investment in a country, then you're actually putting money into people's pockets. You're increasing people's purchase power. You're increasing circulation of money. You're seeing a lot of machinery in the construction of this road. And in terms of priority, it isn't for me a priority for Nairobi, for Kenyans. It's actually bad investment. So we can only improve this economy if we invest wisely. There is one thing that will actually spur economic growth in this country. The liberalization and distribution of power is now a monopoly of KPLC and I think Kenyan. That is the reason why you will never see any investor say, I want to go to Turkana or Mandera or Ajay or some of the remote parts of this country and actually put an industry there or invest my billions of Kenyan shillings. Why? Because a number of things can only spur an economic growth. Power distribution, you have to liberalize it. You have to cheapen it. Security, infrastructure in some of the parts that are not developed. That is the only way you can attract investors to take money, put it in some of the remote countries in this country, create job opportunities, get cheap labor, And that way the economy can grow. Look at countries that are, say, developed. The Americas, the Europes, they actually take the manufacturing of their goods to least developed countries. But at the same time, it also spurs an economic growth because you are creating jobs for people, although you are using cheap labor. The other way we can actually improve our economy, we just need to end theft of public money. There is no two-way about it. Because by the time the 2 billion is being stolen every day, as per the confessions of President Uhuru Kenyatta himself, it means that is money that is not being invested into growing our economy. You know, there are sectors in this country that are actually understaffed, underfunded. If you look at all the public sectors in Kenya, they are actually underfunded. So we have to fund those public sectors, and that's the only way our economy can grow. Compliance with the law and order, governance. If you look at one of the ingredients of economic growth in many countries is respect for the rule of law. If there is no respect for the rule of law, especially from the top or from everybody, there's no way anybody can actually invest in that country. If corruption cases take years to be decided, nobody can invest in a country like that. So a number of things can actually grow this economy, but most importantly, let's have a blueprint. I don't think currently there's anybody that has a blueprint, and we don't know. I think Jubilee is mambo jumbo. One, I think they started with 2 manifestos of TNA and URP. Somewhere along the way, I think they became Jubilee. Then I think they abandoned that. They became the Big Four agenda. Then I think they went to BBI. So you don't know what they're actually implementing. If we can just even go back to Vision 2030, just follow that roadmap of Vision 2030. And if you recall, Mzee Mwai Kibaki actually followed the Vision 2030, and in a way we saw the trickle-down effect on the economy. The economy was growing, But when fellows took over this government, the usual fellows, just because it's about their interest, you can see what has happened.
So we have a lot of thinking and actualization to do.
Absolutely, but most importantly, we really have to get involved in the change that we want. It cannot be left to a tiny minority of individuals who actually see Kenya kama shamba yao, as if they actually have a title deed of this country. We have to change. They say change is as good as the rest. So why not try good ideas?
But it's also important to be the change that you want to see.
Absolutely.
Daktari, thank you so much for joining us on the show. A lot of conversation. We could sit here all day, all night, and talk, but thank you so much for being on the show. We look forward to having you again.
Absolutely.
And even right before, the debate, we can have one on the Jacque Maribe show.
There's a lot we can talk about.
Yes.
There's a lot we can talk about.
And we look forward to hosting you again. Thank you as well for joining us on the Jacque Maribe show. See you next week, same time. God bless.
My name is Dr. Ekuru Aukot, party leader of Thirdway Alliance Kenya, and you are watching the Jacque Maribe show.